Hello, everybody, and welcome to your Monday lighting critique. I wanted to start off by thanking everyone for your super kind words on Friday and through the weekend. I made it through the surgery. I am better for it, I think. My face is still pretty swollen, so you won't be seeing me on video for a couple days, but everything's going well. That's surgery number 3 of 5 or 6 that I have to have over the next couple months, so we are rolling right along with it. Got a lot to get through today, so I want to kind of go through everything here. Let's go through some images. All right, let's get back to the beginning here, and we will go through them in straight alphabetical order. So starting off the top here with Aaron, I think this one's looking really good. There's something about the fact that these tail lights aren't in the middle that makes it feel a little janky to me. So I would just... It may actually even be optically correct, like they're just being skewed by these by the glass bulbs or something back here. But I would really like to see the dots kind of in the middle there, and then these here are kind of fluctuating between being on and off, in that the bulbs are kind of glowy but not glowy. So I would just go ahead and push those on all the way. But in terms of everything else, the values and everything are looking really good. I don't think there's really much else that I would do. I would encourage you, just because, if you can, just because there are so many small shapes in here, just the grass in here, I would actually render this at twice the resolution. That's a pretty common thing that we do. That I do with my images when I'm trying to get the most detail out of it. It's I know it takes 4 times as long to render something twice as large, but it'll really help bring out the resolution in some of those areas. Woman here is looking great. I love how you've sprinkled in some cooler tones back behind her in a very organic way with this blue cyan VW bus. I think that really, really makes her warm tones pop forward. I would push more of the subsurface scattering on her skin. The specularity looks good, but it's like a plasticky coat on her at this point. And I want to see a little bit more of the penetration of the light right along her nose. So we're seeing a little bit more of those red values in there, and same thing along her arm here, because it's just kind of rolling off pretty quickly and almost like a plastic type of a thing. I'm wondering, so what I'm seeing from these flowers is that they're very difficult when large swaths of them are in shadow, because they just kind of start to look a little bit dingy, not quite as colorful and pretty. So I would almost try sprinkling in some key hits back there, just some dapple of light into those. And then for this plant here in the foreground, I would almost allow that to go a little bit darker, maybe, and allow that to be a framing element back here. I would pull back a touch on this saturation. It's odd because this part of the bus looks so blue, and then this part looks so green, cyan-y. That's a little odd to me. And then also, actually, you know what? Looking at this, I see a lot of shadows being cast this way from the flowers, but I'm not seeing the key hit on them. Do you know what I mean? It looks like from their shadow they're being illuminated by the sunlight, but I'm not seeing that on the objects themselves. So just something to look out for there. But overall, I think your structure is pretty good. I would almost move her over this way just a little bit more. I see what you're doing with the framing of keeping that, but it's it feels like there's more open space here than there is here. I don't know. I kind of want to shift her over a little bit more to the right to make the image a little bit more balanced. Yeah. And then if we're going to have some autofocus here in the foreground, it would be, you may want to throw a couple pixel defocus on the background as well. And just kind of keep that all together there. But looking good. Yeah, and good reference here. Meant to mention that as well. Yeah, in terms of the warmth on this is really nice. So the warmth of the cool, you can push the warmth on the characters just a little bit more, and a little bit of the bounce. The other thing about the reference on the car that I wanted to point out was check out the headlight. Do you see how you can see that pattern in there, and we're not really seeing it here? So I would maybe try and put that little pattern in these headlights too. Would be kind of cool. And then this, the VW logo there could be, you could have some fun with that too. All right, Adrian. So let's take a look. I like the warmer a little better. One thing about Legos is, and I would if I was you, I would check out some reference from the Lego movies. Is that their color schemes are so like saturated. Do you know what I mean? Like, because Legos are like kids' toys. They're red, they're blue, they're yellow. They're very very much on that color. And then when you take away some of the saturation on, especially on the Lego head, you kind of lose that feel a little bit. So what I would do is, if I was you, and it's totally fine if you want to go against that and go towards like a different thing. But basically, what I'm saying is, I would find. Let's see, where's your reference? Yeah, okay. So we've got your reference in here, and it's fine if we want to go this way, like the 500 Days of Summer. I think that's what the movie this is. And we go a little bit desaturated with it. But if we want to do that, then we do want to do the thing that you were mentioning in your comments, which is like, you've got this window coming in from off camera. And if that's the case, I want you to pay attention to how bright it is here versus how like much less light there is here. And same thing here. There's like a lot of brightness around this window, and then it fades down. Where in yours, like, I really want to see a lot more brightness over here, and because if we're gonna play up that window, I really want to feel that coming in, as opposed to I want these records to be a lot brighter than these records, and like some brightness on the wall here. So that would be the two things that I would work on. Determining the saturation point on the Legos if you want them to be more human or more Lego. And then the other one is really pushing that window light into your scene and really getting the audience to feel that up. But yeah, I think that would be good. All right, Annabelle. Very cool. I love the richness of the skin tones that you're getting on this character. Your skin tone is darker than some of the other ones that we're seeing, but what that's doing is allowing for some richness and a lot more play in the specularity. So one of the things about, like, actually all of these, the reference that you pulled in here in this middle column and under the character, so something that you do when you're doing portrait lighting or like close-ups like this is you'll often bring in a bounce card, which is a large it's just like a reflective surface that allows you to bounce light back up onto a character or onto a person. And what ends up happening is it creates like a little bit of a twinkling in the fill value, in the fill area. And you can see it especially on this woman. And you can see it a little bit here on her, a little bit here on her, and a little bit here on her. And often with characters, you bring in, it's like a giant, it looks like a giant gold piece of like aluminum foil or something. And it bounces light and brings like a twinkle up in here. So, I mean, you could even play up that there's a card off camera here bouncing some of that like gold glittery light in there. And I think that would be kind of a nice to get, because like her specularity looks good, but it's a neutral in tone, which is fine. But like, what if we pushed it more into the fill areas and pushed it a little bit warmer to kind of give it that like warm, like glisten. Like this is a little bit too strong for me, but like right in that mode. Additionally, I love the shape of your shadows. Like I love this coming down here, and I love this coming across here. But I was wondering if you want, you could even potentially get a little bit more aggressive with those, and maybe pull this even up into like here. And actually, that one up top is looking pretty good. But like, what if you could even get a little light to dark fall off shadow down here to really get our focus up towards her. But I just, you know what, maybe just like a little bit of shadow on her, because I do like what's happening here on this pot of flowers and stuff. But it's looking really good. And then the last thing that I would work on for you for now is if you can get a little bit of spill light. Because there's like light passing through this shawl and hitting. So if there's like a little bit of like a purple glow around, like especially on her white hair, I think that would be really cool too. Yeah, but really, really, really great start. Ashley, same. Let's see. So I like the framing that you've got on this. You've got this character kind of going around here. These flowers are like yours are. They're just like a little bit too overly lit. And it's flowers, to be clear, are very, very tricky. Like if you look here, like where they hit in the shadow, they're a little too dark, but when they get in the sunlight, they're a little too bright. So you definitely want to soften that light and increase the radius to create a little bit more softness there and a little less intensity. So to kind of help balance that out a little bit. And same thing with the character. The key light just feels like it's a very small radius because I see a lot of like sharp lines coming across here. So you may want to open that up and soften that a little bit. And then, let's see. Yeah, and then you want to put some of like shadow down here in the foreground to really kind of get it zeroed in here. Her face on this side's getting a little bit in shadow, which is okay, but I want to pull the key around just a little bit more. So it's almost like she's looking up into the light, like so the light. Oops, sorry. So the light is coming up this way. You know what I mean? Like she's looking off into the distance, and then yeah, I would work with that as my next iterations. The other thing that I was looking at was like this light on the tree is almost like it's coming up from beneath, and I was curious about that. Like all this light under here almost feels like it's coming up from under, and then there's like sharp shadows in there too. So yeah, so the biggest one is just softening your light a little bit and just and creating a little bit more more like you can see it here. Like just like an overall softness coming across, you know, like you're not getting those, like look at the softness of the shape coming across her arm here versus like this is a little bit harsher. Again, like some of these darker shapes like these lines in here. Just want to really, really make sure that we're getting that softening look for you. All right, Diana. This is looking cool. Right. Okay, so a couple things that are tricky about this. Number one being that this creature matches the wall and the surroundings. I would consider, if you wanted to read a little better, I would consider changing the wall color to get the character to bounce out. Because like from a value standpoint, the character is actually very similar to in like, let's do this. Let me show you. Go away, please. So if you look here, only the eyes are kind of different from the surroundings. This is like looking at the luminosity of this, and the luminosity kind of puts the character in line with the couch, with the wall, and so I would consider bumping that wall color a little bit to kind of get the character to pop off a little forward. The other thing with these two images is you can really push this light brighter. And push the brights a little brighter overall. And let's see. You know, you can kind of push that into this range a little bit more. And I think that would be, because like whenever you have a lamp on in a shot, it's going to get, you know, you'll see a brighter, let me go on the other one. Like you'll see a brighter bulb in there. It won't, like this is like a mid-tone, and you really would want that to be a little bit brighter. And then you can play that a little bit more on her screen left side. But those would be the two biggest ones. I would say increase the brightness overall, like really push the intensity of that light, and then do what you can to get the characters to pop off in the background. And that will mostly be changing that light color. And then... yeah, I would push that light level and do that. Now that would be my my next pass from there. So Forrest, this is really cool. Love the Dorothea Lange, Coco, all your reference here. One of the things that I think you're doing really, really well is two things. One, you're introducing this fog that's allowing her to separate off from the background a little bit. You've got these colorful yet out of focus flowers in the foreground to kind of frame her up a little bit. You're hitting these flowers with a lot of light and allowing her to make a connection to them, which is really nice. And you're getting some good soft shaping going across her. So all some good things there. The light that's hitting these is a little bit, it's a little bit too bright, right? Like these are a little bit too strong. And then I would also, like the other ones, play up some translucency from this shawl onto her hair. So pushing some color through that would be really beneficial. And then I'm wondering if we can't play up a little more rim light on her side this way to get her to separate off. Also warming her up a little bit too. Because this light here and this light hitting this side is pretty neutralized. And I'm wondering if we can push some more warm tones into the foreground here and allow that. Let's just do it overall. Yeah, maybe something along those lines. I think that would really help out a lot. But really beautiful stuff, man. And same thing we were looking at in Annabelle's reference. Like if you could get some of that golden shimmer bounce light up in there, that would be really nice too. Yeah. All right, Jeff. This one's cool. I want to see. Well, the first thing is with this background is it's a little. I would just want to see a little bit more back there. I mean, it's out of focus, so you don't have to do too much. Just put some more shapes. Just put some more like even primitive objects back there or something, just to kind of break that up a little bit. And then additionally, if this is like the outside space overhead, I would push that to be a little bit brighter, because if you want to convince us that outside light is the stuff that's illuminating this rim, that would need to go a little bit brighter. Because it's interesting, because you don't necessarily need it up there. Yeah, maybe. Because here's the thing. I'm seeing this like pool of light on the ground. I can be convinced that it's off camera, but now that I'm seeing it, I want it to be brighter. Does that make sense? I hope so. I asked that as if you were going to respond. But anyway, so, but in terms of the character, value's looking pretty spot on. I would just take a little bit off of the diffuse value that we're seeing in here and really start to play up some of the specular values. Because like it's now, we're starting to overlight the wings a little bit in the diffuse, and we're not really getting that kind of leathery quality out of them. So we really want to see the specular highlight, like kind of a broader specular highlight on there. And then consider adding a smoothing function, because you can see some polygons coming across here. So we generally keep these a little bit low res at times, and allowing you to smooth it if you need to. And then just watch out for these like hard, like there's some like little blue specular highlight pickups in there, so you just want to watch out for those. Okay, Jordan, let's take a look at your reference here. So one thing to watch out for with your reference, like this one, actually, I would not look at this one at all, because it seemed like somebody has done something to the color. It's much more yellow than what we're seeing out of some of these other ones. And just having seen this film multiple times, I like this feels like it's going to steer you in the wrong direction, which I don't know why people do that. Why they would like take with something that's been color timed and fixated on, and then just whatever, and then contort the colors around too much, and then post it online. Always a very strange thing to me. But yes, okay. So the one thing about both of these reference points is that they are, the majority of the light on all of our characters here is like bounce light. Because for him, the light's coming in from this way and hitting the ground and illuminating him from up underneath. And same thing with this other reference, light coming in the window, hitting down there and bouncing up. So you can really play up that. Right now you have the light coming in from this way, if you want to kind of match that look, I would bring it in this way. Put a larger area light underneath her, and then allow that to bounce up, and then what that'll do is create a really interesting light dynamic, because that'll allow you to keep the back wall dark, allow you to put a rim light on her, and allow you to create some good shaping on her front side. In terms of like right now, there's a little bit too much haze over top of everything. I would pull that off for now. And we can always sprinkle that back in a little bit later, but right now it's a little bit too heavy-handed. So for your next iteration, I would work on that that setup and kind of and pivot the lights around a little bit, because I do think that would work really well for this setup, and then I would go from there. All right, nicely done there, Jordan. Yeah, and this one's looking great. I think I would just like to see this one at a higher resolution. Same thing that I was mentioning with, I believe it was Aaron at the beginning. Lots of small shapes. This feels very noisy in here, this wall. So we might have to clean that up later, but we'll see what that looks like once you render it out at high res. But I think everything else is looking really great. This fog that you got in here, you described your process totally fine the way you did it. I think it's actually a really good process. So really good job in there. So yeah, render this at a higher resolution and we'll take a look at it. All right, Kat. Good resources with those Blender resources, like those a lot. I do think that right now, overall, it's feeling very like I think you've got a good setup that you're going off of, and this is something that we can work with. I just think that overall, it's feeling a little devoid of some specifics in terms of like time of day, what type of mood that you're going for, because it all feels very neutral. And so I think that your next iteration would really be to play up, if this is a bright sunny afternoon day, like let's really feel the sun coming in, let's really feel the ground get bright, and let's really fill up the space. If it's nighttime, maybe there's a little light under here that's kind of, putting her in this pocket, and then we're just kind of getting some other lights around here. That would be very cool. But for right now, it's feeling this just feels like it's feeling like you've got just some illumination just to kind of lay things out, and I think you've got things in a really good spot. So the biggest thing would be to really identify the colors and the values that you're going to be pushing to get this to where you want to tell an emotional story, or you want to get the audience to read a certain emotion in this image. So I think that's, yeah, because like I think that would just be the next step, and then we can start working on shaping and getting our audience to focus in on the right thing. But right now, I think you've got a good base. Let's just focus on getting that story done. Oh, there's another one here. Oh, Mindy, this was cool. I liked your reference choice. I like the that you went this way with Coco. And you're implementing the woman from the last scene, so that's a lot of fun. I really want to tie these two characters together a little bit more. So I see that, obviously there's some light from this character that's hitting her, but the quality doesn't quite match up, in that, again, these hard shadows coming across here make it feel like it's a very small light source, like it's like a bulb here on the wall. But if in fact she is being illuminated by her, this is a much bigger light source, and all that stuff would be softening. So what I want is more of a connection between the two of these by feeling that larger light source, feeling that there's like a large glowy element. And even though these characters are still pretty far away from you, can still feel their influence on the screen left side of his face, and I want to feel that with her. So soften that up a little bit. I do like how this is going dark back behind her, and you're getting that fall off going that way. I think that's really successful. And then from there, we'll start pushing color a little bit more, and maybe pushing some more blues and purples into these shadows. That's looking really nice. Nigel, see. Nigel, yeah, okay. This is looking good. I think we can. I'm wondering, do you see how her, the octopus's head, it's like more red up here and then more blue down here? I like this color a lot, and I'm wondering if you can put more of that into the skin tone. It might just be a matter of pulling a matte, or just like doing some color correcting or color tweaking in the comp. But I think that that's looking good. If there's any way to get, yeah, let's do that. Maybe a little bit more saturation in the green on the table. Like a touch. And then that would be about it. But like, I think this is looking really good. Yeah, I think this is looking really good otherwise. Really nice job on that. And then for this one, let's see, let's step back. Yeah, same with this. If you could just get a little more of, see how you got these little warm kicks here and here. If you could push a couple more of those into the scene a little bit, like I think that would be really good. But other than that, this one's looking really nice too. Really, like these colors are beautiful. You did a great job with those color selections. Yang, cool stuff, man. Let's see. Yeah. So same thing. You found some really beautiful Coco reference art. Like again, this is what I was talking about with like bounce light coming in here. It's all just like these bright sunny shots are all about bounce light, and this is nice here. I love like structurally sitting back, like your hierarchy of values, the way that these are super bright back here, and then this a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, is really, really beautiful. And you can tell, like, look how dark my purple line looks there versus how it looks here. Really good stuff. And I love like this coming down the stairs, like everything's leading back to her, which is really nice. But I do think that we can push up the bounce light even more, like bounce more in here. Get her value lifted in the screen left side, really get some specular sprinkle in there. And then I would even push up some warmth up underneath this archway and really kind of play up that, like this is now, this thing here, this bright spot on the ground being caused by the sunlight hitting there. It's almost like a light source upon itself because it's so bright, it's so reflective. I would just keep pushing that up and keep ramping that forward, and then we can really kind of bounce that around in there. But I think that's your next step, is really focusing on the bounce light. But because this, like, it's really beautiful stuff. And then the one thing I'm thinking about with your composition is it's almost, because these are such small shapes, like my eye keeps going back to here, and I really wanted to focus in on her. I'm almost wondering if we move these up here and allow them to just like hang coming in from off screen, that and give her some more clearance, so we can really read her up. So play around with that a little bit. I think that might actually help out. But yeah, but that's all for today. Thank you guys so much. Again, I'm going to go give my face a rest now because I've been moving it a lot as I've been talking. But let me know if you guys have any questions, and I look forward to seeing what you go from here. All right, happy lighting, everybody.